Hey everyone, and welcome to Convos with Cunningham. We are streaming live here, and I'm joined today with Coach John Klein from the SEMO soccer program. Coach, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, happy to be here, Jeff.
I wanted to talk to Coach about a variety of things. One of which being the World Cup, which is some of the matches will be played in the United States, and it's always interesting to me how the World Cup is so huge everywhere except the United States. And I was going to get your take on that,
Yeah.
but. Before we go there, I was just going to get an update on your team and on your program. How are things going over at SEMO?
I just got off the field before I came over here. The girls are working hard. We got some nice weather today, so it was nice to be outside. And as we progress here, we'll have a few spring games, but really liking our recruiting group and liking the group that's working hard. So just enjoying, still getting settled a little bit. Only been here about a year now, but really enjoying the girls and the program and Cape Girardeau and the whole SEMO environment.
It's always it's fun to talk to someone new who came to Cape. Where did you come from?
Well, I was in Columbia, Missouri for 25 years. So
I got
I'm
you.
originally from St. Louis, but spent 25 years in Columbia.
Right.
So.
Well, I moved here too, and it grows on you. You know, it's a great community, and I hope you enjoy it. Have you found any good restaurants? You got a favorite yet?
We talk about that a little bit. We get around. My wife enjoys some spots. I mean, her favorite spot is D. Duncan's, just to stop in and see those guys. But restaurant-wise, I'm still searching. I took a recruit to Encore the other day. London's involved there. So there's a lot of good restaurants. We're still getting around, though.
No, good. And you got a new coach from Jackson, right? He came over.
Yeah, Coach Mack joined us. Yeah, he's helping. He's awesome.
I've only heard good things. Todd Richards was telling me yesterday, he just thinks the world of that guy.
No, Coach Mack is amazing, and I love having him, and I appreciate the administration allowing me to get him on board. And he's specifically working with our keepers, but he's a staff coach. I want him to be part of it, and those girls respect him. Brings a lot of energy to practice and the game setting.
That's great. Well, it's Jackson's loss for sure, but I'm glad that he's being appreciated other places.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the World Cup a little bit. So for those who may not know, the World Cup is kind of, and you correct me if I'm wrong because I'm definitely not an expert, but it's kind of the Super Bowl of soccer, except the whole world's involved, and it takes place every 4 years. Is that accurate?
Yeah, kind of Olympics maybe.
Okay.
Super Bowls. They have. We have championships, and they have championships for club teams. But this is you're representing your country, so super exciting. And super exciting to be able to have it in the United States. But certainly the world has appreciated soccer for a lot longer than the United States has. But with the professional leagues and have grown, and all the stadiums and the support, I think you're going to get a lot of interest in this year's World Cup.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, I'll ask you about this later, but Messi playing in Miami, right? Isn't he still playing in Miami?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? I mean, as someone who's been around soccer your whole career, what is it about the United States that never totally figured out what the rest of the world has figured out?
Well, we have so many sports for one.
Yeah.
We have the NFL and Major League Baseball and
Lots to compete
basketball.
with.
There is a lot to compete with. I often reference it, that the guys that could be the best center backs in the United States, they're tight ends in the NFL. So your choices, your options are split as a youth. We didn't really have a great professional league. We've kind of been building that over the years, but now the MLS is a very viable, very solid league. So I think we're growing in that respect. But I like the soccer energy that's going on. St. Louis City's unbelievable. They've had a lot of success filling that stadium. There's a lot of energy there. So I think I think whether or not we fill these stadiums, I've been kind of looking at tickets. They're super expensive. It's difficult to figure out where how you're going to get your ticket to some World Cup competitions this summer. But whether or not they fill the stadiums, but they're going to fill it for the U.S. game, and there's going to be a lot of energy going around the country.
Yeah, I wrote down some of the games that are coming to Arrowhead in June, and we can talk about them here in a minute. But it's interesting to me, and again, I'd just love to get your take on this because I just find it an interesting subject. But you've got someone like Mbappe, who plays for France and plays professionally
Real Madrid.
Yes, for Real Madrid. Thank you. And just a stud player.
Yeah.
And had a great World Cup this last time. Would you agree that someone like Mbappe, if he was walking down this Broadway here in Cape, might not even get recognized in the United States?
Well, he would by my assistant coach.
Yeah,
And
well, I
no,
get
there's
that.
a handful of people out there that would recognize him, but you're right, a majority of people would not.
I guess what I'm saying is, as opposed to if he walked around in Paris, he'd get mobbed.
100%.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so would Tom Brady here, and,
Yeah.
and so would Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. So it's similar to that,
Do you think, how would you explain that to people who don't understand the soccer culture in the world? Those guys are like rock stars pretty much everywhere.
They are. I mean, and everybody. Literally, I just got back from Italy. I went to the Olympics, and my wife and daughter and I went to a soccer match in Bologna to see AC Milan and Bologna play. And my intent was to see Christian Pulisic. Unfortunately, he was hurt. But
Who's an American?
who is an American,
Yeah.
who will be one of our superstars on the U.S. team this year. He wasn't there, but my wife and my daughter love the environment still. The people are just fanatics about soccer over there. The stadium was loud. They're singing, and that's the piece maybe that we're missing right now. But our MLS stadiums are trying to fill that, and there's tremendous support now throughout the U.S. and we're getting there on the soccer front. But I think the main thing is that is the primary sport in so many countries in Europe and South America. So to bring some of that energy to the United States and Canada and Mexico this summer is going to be fun.
Yeah, I would think so too. I realized that because we were going to talk at another time, but we took your trip to the Olympics,
yeah.
and so I bet that was a lot of fun. So when we talk about some of these guys and over there, the soccer culture, like again, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Lionel Messi, who plays for Argentina in the World Cup. Who plays for Miami?
Yeah.
David Beckham's
Right,
team
right,
here in the
right,
United
right.
States, and I think they won their.
They did. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
intent. They signed some big names, and they did win the MLS championship last year.
Pretty cool. So, but he started so young. They had wasn't it Real Madrid for him too, where they had kind of their own kind of in-house where they get them young and they kind of.
Yeah, I don't. If it was Madrid, if it was Barcelona,
Maybe it
I'm
was
not
Barcelona.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it might have been
Yeah,
Barcelona.
I think you're right.
But he's from Argentina. But I think he did travel over, and might have got involved with Barcelona at a young age. But yeah, I think that's what's growing now. We really didn't have youth academies back in my time. In the late 70s and 80s, when I grew up in St. Louis, it was parish soccer, and then by the time I was 13, 14, 15, you started to see some of these clubs grow. And club soccer now has grown across our country, and there's some great clubs in St. Louis, Lou Fuse and St. Louis Scott Gallagher, and and we actually will have probably 2 or 3 St. Louis representatives on the World Cup team. Patrick Schulte, who played at St. Louis University, is fighting for a spot as a goalkeeper
Very
on
cool.
the roster. Tim Ream's been a veteran of soccer and been playing in the top league in England for so many years. He's likely to be a captain and a starting center defender. Josh Sargent plays over in England. He's been part of that St. Louis Scott Gallagher. He scores goals. Whether or not he makes that final roster is still to be determined. But we have a lot of St. Louisans in the mix, and for so long, St. Louis has been a big part of national team rosters, and it's nice to see. But now it's across the whole country. The academy and the club soccer has grown, and we just have so many options. I think that's part of the challenge for a coach is our country is so big. How,
Embarrassment of riches.
yeah.
Kind of?
How do you narrow it down to who really should be on that roster and put that group together? That's one of the difficulties, I think, in the U.S. Where in Europe, the countries are smaller in terms of geography, and it's easier to get from one city to the other. So I think that's one of our struggles.
What do you think about something like, and I assume you're familiar with Welcome to Wrexham, with the documentary that was on. Was it Netflix? I think it was Netflix.
Yeah, I watched a little bit. What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, for those who don't know, and I only watched the first season myself, but it was a cool story in that Ryan Reynolds, the movie star, and his friend, who's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I'm totally blanking on his name. I'm sorry, but they bought this club in Wales, which was a small club, but in that city of Wrexham, that was the only game in town, and then they got better, and they brought pit players in, and then they kind of did that documentary about it as it was going along, and then they were kind of had a lot of success, and it was hard not to get caught up in the excitement that the people of Wrexham were feeling watching it, I thought.
Well, it was a great project for those guys to get involved with. And in Europe, you have the relegation system.
Right.
So I feel like maybe they were down at like the 5th tier of relegation. And in order to be moved up to the next tier, you have to either win it or maybe be in the top 2. They did that. They moved to the next tier. They did it again.
It was a little bit of a fairy tale ending.
It really was. It really was. So we don't really have that in the U.S. They talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about creating a relegation system, but these owners and these the people that are investing in these MLS clubs, they're spending so much money on stadiums and and they're trying to build the game. I think it would be hard to say, hey, thanks for spending, I don't know what number, $100 million, but you've just been relegated, and now you're only going to attract 8,000 people a game instead of 25,000.
Yeah, because your placement translates into dollars.
Exactly. Well, most likely, attendance-wise and television-wise. So the system, it's a little bit different over here, but that was really intriguing what they did at Wrexham. And even before I went to Italy for the Olympics, I was following a documentary about Lake Como, which is a club, a very similar situation, and an American became the general manager there, and they've climbed, and now they're in the top Italian league. So that's kind of a fun project for people that have a little bit of money to spend, and it's really been intriguing to watch.
Seemed to work out for Ryan, it seems like.
Yeah.
So what do you think needs to happen in the United States? I know you said that it's heading in that direction, and that's cool, and I'm certain the World Cup coming to the United States and specifically Missouri will help a lot. And I mean, like you said, we got a lot of St. Louis names to watch out for on the team, possibly. What do you think needs to happen to get soccer to its rightful, or football as it's called everywhere else, place?
Well, I don't know what its rightful place is. I like where it is. I like the growth. I like following MLS soccer. I think I've said it before. I think I still believe it. I like to think that in my lifetime, the U.S. is going to win a World Cup.
That would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, in my lifetime, I say that. Are they more organized? Are they more structured in other countries? Yes. Have we copied them in a lot of ways? Yes, we have with our academy systems. Like I said, I think our country's big. I think it's difficult to make selections. We encourage our professional players to go overseas to play. So as they're preparing for this World Cup, it's not easy to get a group together. I think it's probably easier in Europe to get your group together. Your players might be playing in Spain or England, and you're one of those countries. It's not too difficult to get them back for a training camp. I don't really know how our training camps operate, but I don't even think Pochettino, the coach of the U.S. team, knows who that final roster is going to be right now. But I like to continue to build on the last World Cup. I thought we were quite successful.
Yeah.
That last game, I remember we lost to Netherlands, and everybody was like, we just ran into a better team, a country that's more prepared, has more history. Pulisic had a chance to score early in that game.
Yeah.
And if he scores, we're up 1-0, and that game could be different. We tied England in that World Cup. England's going to be one of the top 5 teams in this World Cup. I like to think, it's a new format this year in the World Cup, but I'd like to think we're going to get through our group and who knows? You know, can we get to a Final Eight? So I've enjoyed the energy and the system of late that Pochettino has brought. You know, he had some struggles early, couldn't find a win, and now I think they're unbeaten in their last 5 friendly matches, and they've got some terrific friendly matches coming up prior to the World Cup that are really going to be great tests. But I don't think we're far off.
Cool.